Let's head on down to the MUHC as there's a new Pediatric Simulation Center at the Montreal Children's Hospital. It's dedicated to protecting those most vulnerable and teaching medical personnel skills that will help with time efficiency. The center is a medical cornerstone for improving patient care. Staff will be taught to quickly and effectively make decisions in emergency situations, how to react to the unexpected, and how to care not only for a child in distress, but their family as well. And I know for so many of you listening, you've had that experience where you've got to rush a child to the children's hospital. You've been there. You know the care they provide, and you know how important it is. Let's go to Dr. Ilana Bank, Medical Director of the Center for Pediatric Simulation at the MUHC. Dr. Bank, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today.
Now, I know what pediatric means. I know what simulation means. I put them together. I get more confused. So why don't you tell us about this Pediatric Simulation Center?
Sure. So Pediatric Simulation Center is what we call a mobile unit. So there are many simulation centers that exist across the province, across the country. But our simulation center is a little bit different in that we are going to be a mobile unit moving our simulations to the actual work area instead of having the workers come to us. So, for example, we're going to take the opportunity to bring our mannequins and our standardized patients to the environment, so whether it be the ICUs, the NICU, the emergency department, or even clinic spaces, even the operating room, all different spaces across the hospital, so that we can practice experiencing what we typically experience with our patients, but with mannequins and standardized patients to improve our care.
So I'm told this is world class. This isn't done very often around the world. This is one of the few simulation centers that's like this. So why isn't it done more? What makes this so special?
So what makes it so special, like I mentioned, is that we're a mobile unit. So we go onto the wards, onto the different areas of care. Many simulation centers exist, but it's set up so that the environment looks like your environment, but it's not exactly that. And so they have the learners come to them instead of going to the learners. In this way, when we go to the learners, it allows us to access the learners that are on site all the time, so truly working in their own environment, so not just a simulated environment, but their actual own environment. And we also have the team, so it is always interdisciplinary, always interprofessional. So it's those people who are actually taking care of your kids who are actually practicing to ensure that they are giving the best care, instead of everyone coming to them and trying to find time and workshops. And a lot of times you can't have it as interdisciplinary and as interprofessional as if we bring it to them.
What's the difference here? Let's talk about the difference in training and things like this when we talk about simulation versus real life. So what can you get out of, like the on-the-job training you get when you work every day, the real life situations? Why is simulation efforts like this so important?
So simulation actually provides a lot of opportunities. First of all, there's a lot of events that don't occur very often. And so we have to practice and be aware and be ready for those sort of zebras in the system. So the types of situations that are not going to occur often, that we're not used to facing. If we're ready for them and we practice for them, then it's like we've seen them many times. And so it becomes almost second nature to manage those patients with more complex situations. So that's one thing. The other thing that's important about simulation is I sort of adhere it to the same thing as a professional sport athlete. So the basketball player who, throws the basketball 50 times in an hour, they're going to be better than the basketball player who throws it once in an hour. The more you practice, the better you get at it. The more it's just part of who you are and what you do. So practice really does make perfect. And so that's what we're doing. We're actually simulating the environment. One of the other things that's very important is we have the opportunity not to just actually practice the event, but then after a simulation, we take the time to actually debrief it, which is where most of the learning actually occurs. And so we actually can take apart what happened during the simulation, talk about the interactions, the communications, the challenges, the successes, and how we can improve it from the various different perspectives, whether it's quality, safety, medical, communication. So all those aspects we address, including being able to, use it also for a scholarly component? How do we teach others out there in our community to do the same, to improve the care of their patients?
We're with Dr. Ilana Bank, Medical Director of the Center for Pediatric Simulation at the MUHC. Dr. Bank, when I think of simulations and simulators, like references in pop culture, I think of the putting people through scenarios sometimes where it's a no-win scenario, right? And you put people through situations that maybe they'll never have to deal with in real life, but it's so important to put people through these types of simulations. And then I think about, simulators for pilots and simulators for astronauts and that kind of thing. How much of that, how much of my mindset from pop culture is actually representative of the stuff you're going to be doing with this simulation center?
So it's actually very interesting. You mentioned the aviation industry. So medical simulation actually was drawn from the aviation industry many, many years ago. It's how we learned that it's important to practice. So just like airline pilots have to go into a simulator and practice all the different possible things that can happen and hopefully will never happen, it's the same idea for medical simulation. The only difference is that we've taken it sort of in our own route, and that we really believe that we actually doing it in the environment. So we're not putting people, in a sort of fake simulator anymore.
Uh-huh.
That's what our center does. It's actually doing the simulations, running those events in the people's environment. So they're really comfortable about who they're working with, what they're doing, and they can troubleshoot all the various different things, such as role allocation, knowing your environment, not having what we call fixation errors, being able to sort of plan and change their minds and share what we call the mental model. So share the thoughts with the entire team so everyone is on the same page.
What's the craziest thing you're simulating with this? Is there oh my God, it's septuplets? What are you putting people through here?
We can honestly do everything and anything. And I actually always say that. I'm the beauty of what I do is that there is a creative component. And so I tell everybody, whatever you want to do, we can make happen. We've done in the past, we've done very large disaster simulations, which have been truly fun and eye-opening. We've done simulations about blood bank in order to identify any challenges and successes that we have with getting blood for our pediatric patients. We've done simulations with parents with disabilities because we're going to have families that the parents are disabled, and so we have to manage to be able to communicate effectively with them. We do everything and anything under the sun. If you can think of it, we can create it, and we can create it with you. That's kind of the idea. So if the goal, if the NICU team says we're expecting septuplets, we can say, okay, let's plan to think about septuplets and how can we troubleshoot any issues that we may have. Let's simulate it to identify those and prevent them from happening when these babies come to our unit.
Before I let you go, I know a lot of the talk about this pediatric simulation center talks about efficiency, and we know all of the faults of the Quebec healthcare system. There's such a focus on improving efficiency for better outcomes, right, for everyone involved. Why will this help on the efficiency front?
So it's actually a really good point. So it becomes more efficient because the more we practice, the faster we are and the more efficient and effective we are in our care. So every second in an acute care child who is unwell, knowing what to do saves lives. That's the first step. But it also saves time, it saves money, it saves people. So the more we practice, the faster we get, the more efficient, the more effective we get, and the safer we are. So all around, it's all very positive.
Dr. Bank, if Dr. Bank was a TV show, I would watch it. You're fascinating. You're a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
That's Dr. Ilana Bank, Medical Director of the Center for Pediatric Simulation at the MUHC.